Christmas morning should feel like magic, even when you're 58 and alone. I'd hung a few lights in the window, not because I expected company, but because giving up entirely felt like surrender. The apartment was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that makes you check your phone every 10 minutes, hoping for a text that never comes. I'd bought a small ham anyway, set the table for one. Told myself it was fine. People spend holidays alone all the time. It's normal, except it didn't used to be normal. Not for me, not before Madison. The doorbell rang at 10:03. I wasn't expecting anyone, which made the sound feel almost violent in the stillness. I opened the door to nothing, just the empty hallway and a white envelope on the doormat. My name written across the front in Madison's precise, sharp handwriting. No return address. I picked it up, my stomach already tightening. Inside was a plane ticket, first class to Miami, departing in 3 days, and a note, handwritten on cream cardstock. "We thought you deserved a break. Time to reflect and recharge. Don't worry about us. We'll be just fine without you here. Merry Christmas, Madison." I read it twice, then 3 times. The words didn't change. The coldness didn't soften. I should have been angry. I should have cried. Instead, I smiled. Because Madison made a mistake. A small one, easy to miss if you weren't paying attention. But I'd spent 30 years as a legal assistant. I noticed details. The name on the ticket wasn't mine. It said Madison Fletcher, her maiden name. And the return flight was scheduled exactly 2 weeks later. Not 3. Not open-ended. 2 weeks. That's not a vacation. That's an escape plan. And Madison didn't send me to Miami. She sent herself. My son David was 7 when his father died. Heart attack, sudden, the kind that leaves no time for goodbyes. I remember holding him at the funeral, feeling his small body shake against mine, and making a silent promise. I would be enough, for both of us. And for years I was. We became a unit, David and me against the world. I worked long hours to keep us afloat, but every night I came home to him. We did homework at the kitchen table, watched bad sitcoms on the couch. He told me about his crushes, his fears, his dreams. I told him he could be anything, and I meant it. When he graduated high school, I cried harder than he did. When he got into college, I worked extra shifts to help pay for books. When he landed his first real job, I took him out for dinner and toasted to his future. We were close. Best friends, really. The kind of mother-son relationship people write greeting cards about. Then he met Madison. She walked into his life at a corporate mixer, all sharp angles and expensive perfume. Confident, beautiful, ambitious in a way that felt intimidating even from a distance. David was smitten immediately. He brought her to dinner 3 weeks after they started dating. She smiled at me, perfect teeth, perfect makeup, and said all the right things. Complimented the house, asked about my work, laughed at my jokes. I wanted to like her. I tried. But there was something in her eyes, something assessing, like she was cataloging every flaw and filing it away for later. Still, David was happy. Happier than I'd seen him in years. So I kept my reservations to myself. Told myself I was being overprotective, that no one would ever be good enough for my son in my eyes. That was normal. They got engaged after 8 months, married 6 months later. I helped plan the wedding, paid for the flowers, sat in the front row and smiled through every moment even though something in my chest felt tight. Madison's family was loud, flashy, the kind of people who measure success in brand names. My side of the church was quieter, smaller. After the wedding, things shifted. Subtly at first. David started canceling our weekly dinners. Madison has something planned, he'd say, apologetic. Or, we're just really busy right now. I understood. Newlyweds need space. I gave it to them. But the space kept growing. When their first child was born, I was at the hospital within an hour. Held my grandson, felt that overwhelming rush of love, and thought maybe this would bring us closer again. It didn't. Madison controlled the visits, timed them, limited them. I could come over on Sundays between 2 and 4. Not before. Not after. If I brought gifts, she'd inspect them with a tight smile. "Oh, he already has 3 of these," she'd say. Or, "We're trying to avoid too much plastic." I stopped bringing gifts, started just bringing myself. That wasn't good enough either. Madison had opinions about everything. The way I held the baby, the things I said, the advice I offered. "That's not really how we do things," became her favorite phrase, delivered with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. David would stand there, awkward, caught between us. He never defended me, never told her to ease up. He'd just change the subject or suggest we all have coffee. I started to feel like a stranger in my own son's life. By the time their second child arrived, the distance had solidified into something permanent. I wasn't invited to the baby shower. Found out about it from a mutual friend who assumed I'd be there. When I asked David why, he sighed. "Madison's handling all that. You know how she is." I did know. That was the problem. Holidays became landmines. Thanksgiving that year, I showed up with a homemade pumpkin pie, my grandmother's recipe. Madison opened the door, glanced at the pie, and said, "Oh, we already have 3 desserts, but thanks." She didn't invite me in, just took the pie and closed the door. I stood there on the porch for a full minute, wondering if I'd imagined the whole interaction. I hadn't. That was the last time I was inside their house before Christmas. I tried talking to David, asked him if everything was okay, if I'd done something wrong. He got defensive. "Mom, Madison's stressed. Work is crazy. The kids are a lot. Can you just give her some space?" I was giving space. I'd given so much space I was barely a dot on the horizon. But I nodded, said, "Okay." Went home and cried into a glass of wine I didn't finish. And now this. A plane ticket. A dismissal wrapped in false generosity. Madison wanted me gone. Not just for Christmas. She wanted me erased. But she'd made a mistake. And I was about to make sure everyone knew it. If you've ever been pushed aside by someone who's supposed to be family, drop the word invisible in the comments. I see you. And if you want to know what happened next, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because this story is just getting started. The ticket sat on my kitchen counter for 2 hours. I stared at it while drinking cold coffee, turning the details over in my mind like puzzle pieces. Madison Fletcher. Departure January 2nd. Return January 16th. First class. Prepaid. I opened my laptop and started searching. If this was a setup, there'd be more. There always is. I called Linda, an old friend who worked at a travel agency downtown. We'd stayed in touch over the years, trading stories over lunch every few months. She owed me a favor. I'd covered for her once when she needed an alibi for skipping her sister's wedding. Time to collect. "Linda, I need you to look something up for me," I said when she answered. No small talk, no preamble. She heard the tone in my voice and didn't ask questions. I gave her the booking reference number printed on the ticket, heard her typing, then a low whistle. "Okay, this is interesting," she said. "This isn't just a flight. It's a full package. 5-star resort in Miami Beach, the Fontaine, room with an ocean view, spa treatments for 2, dinner reservations at 3 different restaurants, all prepaid, all under the name Madison Fletcher." 2, not 1. 2. My pulse quickened. "Can you see who made the reservation?" More typing. "Credit card belongs to a David Parker." My son, he paid for this. He paid for his wife to take a romantic vacation with someone who wasn't him. I thanked Linda and hung up. Sat there staring at nothing, trying to make sense of it. David wouldn't book this. He's not stupid. Madison must have used his card without telling him. That's fraud. That's also desperation. I thought about Madison's cousin Rachel. They'd always been close, posting photos together on social media, matching captions about girl power and living your truth. I opened Instagram and searched Rachel's profile. Public. Of course. People like Rachel need the world to watch. The most recent post was from 3 days ago, a selfie on a beach, golden hour light, caption reading, "New year, new chapter." Miami, you're treating me right. Sometimes you have to leave everything behind to find yourself. The location tag said Miami Beach. The comments were full of fire emojis and supportive messages. One comment stood out, from Madison's account. "Can't wait to see you soon. It's been too long." I screenshotted everything, opened a new folder on my desktop, labeled it Evidence. Then I called David, casual, light, like nothing was wrong. He answered on the third ring, sounding tired. "Hey, Mom." "Hi, sweetheart. Just wanted to check in. How was Christmas?" A pause. Background noise. Kids yelling. "It was good. Busy. You know how it is." I didn't actually. I hadn't been invited. But I let it slide. "Did the kids like their presents?" Another pause. "What presents?" My heart sank. "The ones I dropped off last week. The stuffed animals and books." "Oh, yeah. Madison must have put those away. I'll ask her." He wouldn't. We both knew it. I shifted gears. "So Madison mentioned she got me a really generous gift. A trip to Miami." Silence. Long and heavy. "She did?" His confusion was genuine. He had no idea. "Yeah," I continued, keeping my voice light. "Plane ticket, hotel, the whole thing. Super thoughtful." I was surprised. That's great, Mom. You deserve a vacation." He didn't sound convinced. He sounded scared. "I thought it was sweet of her to include spa treatments for 2. I wasn't sure who I'd bring, but I'll figure it out." Another pause. Longer this time. "Spa treatments for 2? "Yeah." The booking confirmation mentioned couples massages and some other things. Madison really went all out. I could almost hear his brain working, trying to piece it together. I'll talk to her about it," he said finally. "Make sure everything's confirmed." "Thanks, honey. I appreciate it." I hung up before he could say anything else. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the small cruelties that had led to this moment. The canceled dinners, the tight smiles, the slow, deliberate erasure of me from David's life. Madison had been methodical, careful. She'd isolated him so gradually he probably didn't even notice. And now she was planning to leave him. Not legally, not yet. But emotionally, she was already gone. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I booked my own flight to Miami. Same hotel, same dates, different room. If Madison wanted to play games, I'd play too. But I'd play to win. I wasn't going to confront her, wasn't going to scream or make a scene. I was going to watch, document. And when the time was right, I'd hand my son the truth on a silver platter. Because he deserved to know who he'd married. And I deserved to stop being invisible. I packed light. A small suitcase, a few sundresses, my phone charger, and a camera. I wasn't going to Miami for relaxation. I was going for reconnaissance. The flight was uneventful. I sat in coach, headphones in, pretending to watch a movie while my mind raced through scenarios. What if I was wrong? What if this was all a misunderstanding? But then I'd remember Madison's note, the coldness, the dismissal, and I'd know I wasn't wrong. The fontaine was everything the website promised. White marble, gold fixtures, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. The kind of place you see in magazines and assume is photoshopped. I checked in under my own name, requested a room on a different floor, and told the front desk I was there for some quiet time. The clerk smiled, said I'd come to the right place, and handed me a key card. My room was on the 8th floor, small but elegant. I unpacked, changed into something comfortable, and went downstairs to scout the layout. The lobby was massive. High ceilings, tropical plants in oversized pots, a bar in the corner that looked like it belonged in an old Hollywood film. I found a seat near a large palm, partially hidden but with a clear view of the front desk. And I waited. Madison's flight was supposed to arrive that evening. I'd checked. The hotel reservation started today. If she was coming, she'd be here soon. I ordered a coffee I didn't drink and pretended to read a book I wasn't seeing. 2 hours later, the automatic doors slid open, and there she was. Madison. Rolling a sleek black suitcase, oversized sunglasses perched on her head, wearing white linen pants and a silk blouse that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. She looked refreshed. Happy. Not like someone who'd just spent Christmas with her family. She looked like someone on vacation, and she wasn't alone. The man beside her was tall, tanned, probably mid-40s. Expensive suit, no tie, the kind of casual elegance that screams money. He touched her lower back as they walked to the front desk. Familiar, comfortable, intimate. I watched Madison laugh at something he said, watched her lean into him slightly, watched her hand rest on his arm while the clerk processed their check-in. Couples massage, ocean view room. It all made sense now. I pulled out my phone, angled it carefully, and took a photo. Then another. And another. They didn't notice me. Why would they? I was just another middle-aged woman sitting in a hotel lobby, invisible in the way women my age often are. They got their key cards and headed toward the elevators. I waited 5 minutes, then followed. Not closely. Just enough to see which floor they went to. 7th, 1 floor below mine. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to the ocean through the open balcony door, my phone in my hand, staring at the photos. Clear. Undeniable. Madison with another man, checking into a romantic hotel, using my son's money. I thought about calling David right then. But something stopped me. I needed more. One photo could be explained away. A work colleague, a friend. Madison was good at lying. I'd seen it firsthand. I needed something she couldn't explain. So I waited. The next morning, I went down to breakfast early, found a table near the windows with a view of the entire restaurant, ordered coffee and fruit I didn't eat. At 8:45, they appeared. Madison in a sundress, the man in linen shorts and a polo. They looked like a postcard. She laughed. He smiled. They held hands across the table. I took more photos. Zoomed in on her left hand. No wedding ring. She'd taken it off. That detail hurt more than I expected. Not for me. For David. For the life he thought he had. I watched them for 20 minutes. Watched them share a pastry. Watched him wipe cream from her lip with his thumb. Watched her kiss him, quick and easy, like they'd done it 1,000 times before. Then I paid my bill and left. I spent the rest of the day following them from a distance. The beach, the pool, a walk through an art district in Wynwood. Everywhere they went, I was 3 steps behind, camera ready. By evening, I had dozens of photos and several short videos. Madison kissing him, Madison with her head on his shoulder, Madison laughing in a way I'd never seen her laugh around David. It was enough. That night, I sat on my balcony and sent everything to David. No message. No explanation. Just the photos and videos, time-stamped and geotagged. Then I turned off my phone and watched the ocean turn black under the moonless sky. So, here's where it gets real. Madison thought she could erase me, start over, and no one would notice. She was wrong. If you've ever had to be the one to tell a hard truth, you know it doesn't feel like victory. It feels like grief. But sometimes grief is the only way forward. And what happened next? Well, let's just say Madison wasn't the only one who underestimated me. Stay tuned, because the real fallout is coming. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. My phone stayed off for 3 hours. I knew what was waiting when I turned it back on. Calls, texts, voicemails. I wasn't ready to face them yet. Instead, I sat on the balcony and let the sound of the waves drown out the noise in my head. When I finally powered on my phone, it exploded. 42 missed calls, 17 from David, 8 from Madison, the rest from numbers I didn't recognize. Voicemails filled my inbox. I ignored all of them except one. David's first message. His voice cracked halfway through the first sentence. "Mom, call me. Please. I need to talk to you. I need to know if this is real." He was crying. I could hear it in the spaces between words, the realization, the betrayal, the collapse of everything he thought was solid. I called him back. He answered before the first ring finished. "Where are you?" His voice was raw, stripped of everything except pain. "Miami," I said. "The same hotel." Silence. Then, quietly, "Why?" I took a breath. "Because Madison sent me a plane ticket, told me to take a vacation, to give you all space. But the ticket wasn't for me. It was for her. She used your credit card to book this trip with him. I came here to make sure I wasn't losing my mind." "I don't understand," he whispered. "Why would she do this? Why would she?" He couldn't finish. I closed my eyes. "Because she wanted out, and she wanted to make sure I was gone before she left." "You knew?" I suspected. The ticket had her maiden name on it. The booking was for 2 people. I put the pieces together. "And you didn't tell me?" His voice cracked again, but this time there was anger underneath. I understood it. He was drowning and looking for someone to blame. "Would you have believed me?" I asked gently. "If I'd called you 2 days ago and said your wife is planning to cheat on you in Miami, would you have believed me? Or would you have told me I was being paranoid? That I was jealous? That I didn't like Madison and was trying to cause problems?" Silence. He knew the answer. "I needed proof," I continued. "Not for me, for you, so she couldn't lie her way out of it." I heard him exhale, shaky and uneven. "I confronted her," he said. "Showed her the photos. She said it wasn't what it looked like, that he's just a friend, that you manipulated everything to make her look bad, because you've always hated her." Of course she did. Madison was a survivor. She'd fight until the end. "Do you believe her?" I asked. Another long pause. "No," he said finally. "No, I don't. Because I went through her phone after she fell asleep, found messages going back 6 months, plans, promises. She told him she was leaving me, that she was just waiting for the right time." My heart broke for him. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be," he said, voice hardening. "You tried to protect me. You've been trying for years and I didn't listen. I chose her over you every single time." "You loved her," I said. "That's not a crime." "It is when it costs you the people who actually love you back." He took a breath. "I need to come home. Figure out what happens next. Can you stay there for a few more days? I don't want to deal with her alone." "Of course," I said. "Whatever you need." We talked for another hour. He told me everything. How Madison had been distant for months. How she blamed it on work stress, on the kids, on him not being ambitious enough. How she'd started going out more. Coming home late, picking fights over nothing. He'd thought they were just going through a rough patch. All marriages do, right? He didn't realize she'd already checked out. By the end of the call, his voice was steady again. Not healed, but determined. He said he'd file for divorce as soon as he got back, that he'd talk to a lawyer, that he'd make sure the kids were okay. And then he said the thing that made me cry for the first time since this whole nightmare started. "Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on you." The next morning, I saw Madison in the hotel lobby. She was alone, suitcase beside her, phone pressed to her ear. Her face was pale, makeup smudged. She looked like someone who'd been crying for hours. She saw me. For a second, we just stared at each other across the marble floor. Then she walked over, slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal. "You did this," she said. Her voice was flat, empty. "No," I said calmly. "You did this. I just made sure my son knew the truth. You're a bitter old woman who couldn't stand seeing him happy." I smiled. Not kind, not cruel, just tired. If this is what happy looks like, I'd hate to see misery. She opened her mouth, closed it. For once, she had no script, no perfect response. "He's filing for divorce," I said. "I assume you know that." She flinched. "He'll forgive me. We have kids, a life." "You had a life," I corrected. "You traded it for a vacation with a stranger." "You don't know him," she snapped. "He's not a stranger. We've been together for—" She stopped herself, but it was too late. 6 months, I finished. "I know. David found the messages." Her face went white. "This is your fault," she said again, weaker this time. "You turned him against me." "I showed him who you really are. There's a difference." She stared at me, eyes shining with tears that didn't fall. "I hope you're happy," she said. "Destroying my marriage." "I hope you're happy," I replied. "Destroying your family." She grabbed her suitcase and walked out. I watched her go, watched the automatic doors close behind her, and felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not guilt, just the quiet relief of someone who finally stopped carrying a weight that was never theirs to hold. David filed for divorce 3 days after I got home. Madison fought it at first, hired an expensive lawyer, tried to paint herself as the victim of a controlling mother-in-law. But the evidence was overwhelming. Text messages, photos, bank statements showing she'd used David's credit card to fund an affair. Her lawyer advised her to settle. She did. David got primary custody. Madison got visitation and a reality check. The house was sold. David moved into a smaller place closer to me. I see my grandkids twice a week now. We do homework at my kitchen table. Watch bad sitcoms on the couch. It feels like coming home. David's healing. Slowly. Some days are harder than others. But he's here, present. And he's rebuilding a life that's his, not a performance for someone else's approval. As for Madison, I heard through mutual friends that she moved to Miami permanently. Lives with Rachel now. Posted a few photos about fresh starts and new beginnings. The comments are supportive, full of people who don't know the whole story. I don't follow her anymore. Don't think about her much. She's a chapter that's closed. The plane ticket is still on my fridge. I kept it. Not as a trophy, just as a reminder that sometimes the worst things people do to you become the best things that ever happened. Madison wanted me gone. Instead, she's the one who disappeared. And my son? He's finally free. So what do you think? Did I go too far by following her to Miami? Or did I do exactly what a mother should do when her child's being lied to? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and telling the truth, hit that subscribe button. Because next time, I'm sharing the story of how a single text message at a family reunion exposed a secret that had been buried for 20 years. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.